Okay, so I do apologize. I'm not here today to finish up 9-7 with you. That's because I'm at a visit over at Kasner. But like I said in the video from yesterday, I will be here tomorrow, and we will review for an hour before your quiz to make sure that if you have any questions still from 9-7 that we get those answered, and all that fun stuff. So let's do our third example. So this is just 9-7 continued. So this is one where we're going to read it from a graph. So I'm just going to mark some of my key points so that I have them. And then we're going to go Okay, so here's what our given graph looks like. So what we're going to want to determine from this graph is the same information that we were given in a problem on the video last night. So when I look at this, I'm going to start by thinking about what I see. So I see that I have a solution, or my roots are -5, 2, and 7. And now something interesting about 2 is that it bounces. So when it bounces, that means I had to have an even multiplicity. So I'm going to say it has a multiplicity of 2. Now, I also want to look to see my end behavior. My end behavior tells me that I have an even degree and that my leading coefficient needs to be negative because they're both going down. So that's something I'm going to need to keep in mind when it comes to my A term, because I know that it has to be negative. So if it's not negative, then I need to figure something out or try to find out what happened. I also see that I have a y-intercept at 14. So that would be the ordered pair 0, 14. So this is all the information I can gather just by looking at the graph. So if we take this information and we put it into the same format we did in the notes last night, we have our function times equaling something a, which we don't know, times x plus 5, x minus 2 squared, because it has a multiplicity of 2, and an x minus 7. From here, we're going to now use our y-intercept. So 14 will equal a times 0 plus 5 times 0 minus 2 squared times 0 minus 7. So 14 equals a times 5 times 4, because that's -2 squared, times -7. So we'll get a times, is that -140? So when we solve for a, we'll get 14 over -140, which is 1 over 10, and it's negative. So did we get the negative like we were supposed to for our end behavior? Yes. So that means things are checking out. So then my final answer, I would write it as f of x equals -1/10, x plus 5, x minus 2 squared, x minus 7. And that would be your final answer. So some of these you are going to just be given the picture. So start by figuring out what you can read, such as the roots, your end behavior, and a point. It won't always be the y-intercept, but if it's a y-intercept, use it. It might be a different ordered pair. Like maybe we gave you this point here. Write that down, like f of 5 is something. And use that ordered pair to help you find your A term, just like we did yesterday. so the next one, or the last one I wanted to do with you guys, was just another one that we wrote out. So number 4. We're going to write a cubic equation with roots -2 and 4. One of them is a double root, with the y-intercept equaling 32. So what this means is you could have two potential answers. So if it doesn't tell you which one, then you want to consider both possibilities. So let's start with our roots. So we'll have our constant times x plus, I say times and I write equals, I don't know why. A times x plus 2, x minus 4, and I'm going to make the x plus 2 squared here. My second possible answer would be a times x plus 2 times x minus 4, where that's the one that's squared. So we're going to go through on both of these using the same y-intercept, because we know that they both have the same y-intercept. So we'll set 0 equal to x, and we know that it has to equal 32. So we'll have 2 squared is 4, and 4 times -4 is -16. So here we get a is -2. So that means we could have the equation -2 times x plus 2 squared times x minus 4 equals f of x. So that's one potential solution. Or over here, we plug in 0. And we should get out 32. So we'll have a times 2 times 16, because that's -4 squared. Here we get a times 32. So we get a is 1. So that means we could also just have the equation f of x equals x plus 2 times x minus 4 squared. Both of these, because it didn't specify which one was the double root, both of these could be valid answers. So without more information, we would have to include both, or at least one of them, to get some credit. Okay, so your assignment is on the worksheet 9-7, where you're going to just be writing equations given different information. Your information will sometimes be given to you as words, sometimes it'll be given to you in a picture. So again, like I said, tomorrow's your quiz. We are going to review first, so we'll go over any questions that you had from the 9-6 still, as well as 9-7. And we'll do some review beforehand, and then we'll do your quiz in the last hour of class.